Good evening, everyone. Welcome to DIKSHA Academy. Today is day 5 of AyurCon 2022, National Ayurveda Web Conference, in connection with 7th National Ayurveda Day. Today, we're very fortunate to have three amazing speakers from all over India here with us. Now, for the first speaker of today's session, we have Dr. Nisha Kumari ma'am to discuss with us on the topic bird's eye view on Nidhana and Samprapti of Medo Rogas. Though ma'am doesn't need any introduction and she has been an integral part of us from the day one, it takes me immense pleasure for introducing ma'am to this platform. Once again, we welcome you, ma'am. Dr. Nisha Kumari, ma'am, was born in Udupi and raised by parents Dr. C. Prabhakar Adhikari and Saraswati P. Adhikari. She did her BAMS from graduation in Alva's Ayurveda Medical College, Mudbidri, and later completed her master's degree from SDM College, Medical College, Udupi. Ma'am has specialization in Roga Nidhana and Vikriti Vijnanam. She completed a major research project on antimicrobial action of Dupana against airborne microbes in indoor hospital environment. She has also published textbook on Ayurveda pathology, textbook on Ayurveda physiology, and as well as history of Ayurveda, Charaka Samhita, which is widely used by Ayurveda students. She has delivered guest lecture on skin disease, mental illness, astrology and mind, influence of cosmic and astronomics in human health, role of gut microbes in health and disease, and many more. Ma'am is currently working as a professor in Yenupai Ayurveda Medical College, Mangalore, along with the research project on role of buttermilk in gut health and also the analgesic effect of herbal formulations in arthritis patient. She has carried responsibilities as Dean Academics, Head of Department of Research Coordinator, Principal Investigator of Research Work, etc. Ma'am has launched her YouTube channel called The Rhythm, The Dynamic Doctor's Dance, which has different episodes explaining the influence of dance on respiratory system, cardiac system, musculoskeletal system, and mental health, immune system. It is a pleasure having you, ma'am, with us. Now, before handing over the session, I would like to go through a few of the basic instructions to be followed throughout the session. For an uninterrupted class session, use a laptop with a high-speed internet connection. Please make sure your microphone is on mute to have a disturbance-free session. And in case of any disruption, please check your internet connection first. And if the problem is within our network connection, kindly raise the issue in the chat box. Filling a full name to display it is appreciated. Participants can ask their questions to the faculties by posting it in the chat box. Questions raised in the chat box will be addressed at the end of the session. Now, without any further delay, let me hand over the session to ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello, can you see the slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, shall I start?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Thank you for that descriptive, elaborate introduction, dear Diksha, organizers, listeners, co-resource persons. Good evening, everyone. A belated Ayurveda Day and Deepavali wishes to all of you. I'm very happy to be one of the presenter today in this tripod session to share platform with stalwarts in the field of research, entrepreneurship, Dr. Rishikesh Damle sir, and stalwart in the field of clinicals, academics, research, administration, my favorite teacher, Dr. Niranjan Rao sir. Today, in my opening session, I will address all that causes that raises medas to produce lipid disorders. Hence, the term bird's eye view on Nidana and its Samprapti, because multiple Nidana can have multiple Samprapti, that makes a disease suffer of Medo Roga. Finding root cause of the disease is the root objective of Ayurveda, and being from Roganidhana department, finding the Moola is our duty. To understand root cause of Medo Roga, the Samprapti of Sanchaya, that is accumulation of whatever is excess, is the principal reason of Medo Roga. Now, what is the cause of Sanchaya? Alasya leading to Sanchaya is the prime cause of all diseases, especially Medoroga. This is told in Janapadodvamsa Adhyaya of Charaka Vimanasthana. Now, why Nijarogas like Medoroga explanation is seen in epidemics and infectious disease chapter like Janapadodvamsa? I will tell that at the end. Do not miss this reference and this slide at all, please. So here is a reference for evolution, or can say devolution, reverse transformation from health to disease. The health status of people in Satya Yuga were entirely different from what it is now. They had different indicators, how well they were built, how they appeared, what were their activities in those days, what were their capabilities in those days, were all described in this particular shloka. There are many indicators, and I will pick in the context of Medas only. Pavana samabala java parakramascha, uruspik abhiru. This is one point. Here, Pavana samabala java parakrama refers to physical strength and endurance. People could walk or run as fast as wind, and they had great endurance. And also, Pramanakriti prasadopachaya vantaha, the even distribution of adequate fat was there in those days. In a person who is visibly obese or staulya, the Medoroga can be identified if sama pramana upachaya is not there. But what about those Medorogas which are not visible? I mean, a lean-built person may have elevated triglycerides, say 300 mg per deciliter or even more in their lipid profiles. They will not, such people will not have bala or parakrama or endurance. Slight exertion will get them fatigue, giddiness, tinnitus, vertigo, palpitation, sweating. So, visible staulya, there can be upachaya, may be excess, or in case of invisible kind of Medoroga, the endurance in the form of Pavana Bala Java Parakrama is not there. So there is Javoparoda instead. Accumulation of Medas can be indicated by Sharira Gaurava, that is heaviness of body. This can be because of Atimatra Ahara Sevana, excessive consumption of food, Guru Bhojana, Ati Santarpana, and Avyayama. Due to Sharira Gaurava, that is heaviness in the body, a person cannot be physically active. If he tries to work, there will be Shrama. This is denoted by Sharira Gauravat Shamaha. So fatigue will be there when such person does any small physical activity. To avoid Shama or fatigue, the person will become more inactive. This gives rise to lethargy or alasya. Lethargy or alasya is the biggest enemy, not mere fat. Take example of elephant. It has huge body, but it is not lethargy. That's why it has got long lifespan. The alasya accumulates calories. Accumulation of, one second. Accumulation of what exactly causes Medoroga? Excessive consumption of food that have snigdha, madura, guru, pichila ahara, as in Nava Anna, Nava Madhya, and Mamsa from Anupavarija origin, milk and milk products, sugarcane products, bakery products are all carbohydrate diet that have very high calorie. You all know that carbohydrates that are polysaccharides will be broken down into disaccharides, and disaccharides are finally broken down to monosaccharides. But in case of Nava Anna, that is freshly harvested grain, the bonding of polysaccharides are so strong and breaking them to disaccharides and then to monosaccharides are almost difficult or impossible, because that is why it is called as Guru. And when such Nava Anna is consumed along with Nava Madhya, this makes terrible combination, because Nava Anna is high calorie food. When it is consumed with freshly prepared Madhya, this combination will cause increased appetite and decreased inhibition. Sugar will not give satiety. It will not give tripti. See, there are two things here. Sugar is 5 times addictive than cocaine. Why addictive? Because you continue to eat. Why continue to eat? Because you won't get satiety. Tripti will not be seen, and the individual continues to eat, and eat. And another thing is, actually, you are thirsty, you're not hungry actually. But you won't understand, instead of having water, you eat. A person gets confused between thirsty and hungry when satiation is not achieved. This confused state of mind will rise cortisol. The raised cortisol promotes fat storage. So this is a picture that indicates the brain that has got hypothalamus, and in hypothalamus there is a satiety center. And when you eat food, and when the satiety center indicates, the person will stop eating because the person is satisfied by eating. But if the person doesn't get this particular center activated, that time the person doesn't feel satiety and he will continue to eat. In case of atisantarpana ahara or high carbohydrate diet, the satiety center will be inactive and the person doesn't know how much to eat, so he continues to eat. So confusion in satiety center will be there. So as the intake is high, snigdahara sevana, gurumatra sevana, atimatra sevana is there, the cortisol level rises in adrenaline gland. Because of this, there will be fat storage. So more food intake, rise in cortisol level, there will be fat storage. So this is happening because of combination of high calorie food along with alcohol, that is Nava Anna as well as Nava Madhya. Along with this, there is one more problem, that is Cheshta Dvesh. The person consuming food of high calorie, okay, but if he does some physical activity, at least the calorie, if the person has Cheshta Dveshi, that is, he doesn't move much or he has a sedentary lifestyle, then fat is getting accumulated. Moreover, the accumulated fat is not utilized. Very small percentage of fat gets excreted in feces, but most of them are excreted by sweating, that is achieved through physical exertion. Actions like divasopna, that is sleeping at the daytime, or inactive lifestyle, will add furthermore to already accumulated medas. This accumulated medas may take its sthana samsraya in siradhamani to produce arterial disorders. The medas may take sthana samsraya in udara. In case of visceral fat, what we say, in sthana, uru, sphic, udara, and they produce staulia and prameha in future. Medas can take sthana samsraya beneath the tvacha, giving rise to cellulites and cutaneous fat. So all these three are the primary pathology. From here onwards, the secondary pathology will continue. Now, what is the secondary pathology? So there will be, the medas can cause avarana to vata and also produce different kinds of disease. I will tell that in my later slides. So the secondary pathology is medo pradoshaja vikara. So accumulation or sthana samsraya of medas may happen in siradhamani, or in case of udara sthana sphic places or uru places, or in beneath the skin. And after that, the medo pradoshaja vikara will manifest, and it may be in the form of prameha, staulya, granthi, vriddhi, galaganda, arbuda, medaja oshtakopa, atisveda, likewise. So the fat in the vessels, fat in the inside the abdomen, cutaneous fat, all these are primary pathology, and this primary pathology will lead to secondary pathology in the form of medo pradoshaja vikara. Now, what causes primary pathology lead to secondary pathology? Here you have Datvagni Dushti, because in case of secondary pathology, there will be already increased accumulation, decreased physical activity, because of which the body will have heaviness, increased guruta. This guruta will cause Agnimandya, that is present in the koshta. And this Agnimandya, what I'm correlating here is impaired gut microbes. Wrong gut bacteria and its influence on metabolism causes all kinds of secondary disorders, as mentioned in Medo Pradoshaja Vikara, including Prameha, as well as including diabetes, Galaganda, including thyroid disorders, Vriddhi, that is metabolic disorders, and more, as well as Arbuda, the neoplasm, as well as the malignancy. The gut microbes are the one which yield nutrients from food or convert the food into nutrients. These nutrients nourish the body. When those microbes that transform nutrients are impaired, then there is massive disruption in the different kinds of secondary pathology that manifest depending upon Kavai Gunya. Pachana takes place in stomach as mechanical digestion by muscle contraction with the advent of Bhutagni. Paka is the secondary level of digestion and first level of metabolism manifests in small intestine with the advent of chemicals, juices, enzymes, hormones, collectively known as Jataragni. Now, the tertiary level where there is metabolism that involves procurement of nutrients from the food is Parinama, where the food gets converted into tissues. Ahara gets converted into dhatus, and that happens due to Dhatwagni. This Dhatwagni is gut microbe, where the conversion of Ahara rasa into respective dhatu happens by gut microbes. Different microbes convert Ahara rasa into different dhatus, including the gut microbes that convert Ahara rasa and part of Mamsa Dhatu to Medo Dhatu or Medas to other Dhatus. The absence or malfunctioning of those microbes related to Medo Dhatu converting microbes causes Medo Pradoshaja Vikaras. You have Rasadhatu Agni converting Ahara Rasa into Rasadhatu. From Rasadhatu, one part is again derived, and from other part of Ahar Rasa and Ranjaka Pitta, with the help of Rakta Dhatu Agni, the Rakta Dhatu is produced. From part of Rakta and selected part of Ahara Rasa, the Mamsa Dhatu is produced with the influence of Mamsa Dhatu Agni. Similarly, a part of Mamsa Dhatu and selected part of Ahara Rasa, the Medo Dhatu is prepared with the metabolic action of Medo Dhatu Agni. At this phase, if there is any hindrance to proceed further, then the Dhatu Utpatti and Poshana get stuck here up till Medo Dhatu. After the Medo Dhatu, further Dhatu Poshana or further Dhatu Utpatti does not happen. So all that remains as Medo Dhatu or fat. This concept is told in Staulya Samprapti and Prameha Samprapti. That is Asti, Majja, and Shukra, and convert all of them into Medas. Henceforth, whenever one consume, whatever you consume, whatever a person consumes, the gut microbes produces only Medo Dhatu out of it, nothing else. The good bacteria that produces all Dhatu will be destroyed by the infection, bad gut health, use of drugs, stress. Due to this, other Dhatus are not formed. Anything that is formed is Medas. There are patients who gained weight after COVID, after typhoid, after viral fever. All these are epidemics. Recent research have shown that obesity is epidemic. There is a virus that increases fat production and storage. Maybe that's why the primary samprapti of Medoroga can be derived from Janapadodvamsa Adhyaya, and that's why I have selected that shloka in my opening statement. Such epidemics and post-viral infections, drugs like antibiotics, analgesics, vaccinations, inflammation, chronic diarrhea, bloating, hyperacidity, such kind of bad gut health, stress will cause increase in Firmicutes bacteria over bacteroidetes. The rise in Firmicutes bacteria causes rise in fat because Firmicutes bacteria has capacity to convert chyle into fat. Medasavrita margatvat pushyanti anye na datavaha. Under normal circumstances, a normal ratio of firmicutes bacteria breaks down carbohydrates by fermentation. Kshiradadi nyaya here, fermentation. When firmicutes ferment dietary fibers, they produce vitamins, short chain fatty acids like butyrides, which actually prevent inflammation and maintains healthy gut. This is supported by another microbe named bacteroidetes in proper ratio. But increased firmicutes and decreased bacteroidetes leads to microbial imbalance, leading to increased caloric extraction from fat food, fat deposition, and lipogenesis. Thus, all remaining ahara rasa with poshaka dhatu will be converted into medas raised firmicutes bacteria. They were by raised firmicutes bacteria. This microbial imbalance or dysbiosis bring changes in energy and nutrition, metabolism. They stimulate unwanted inflammation, alter hormonal regulation by raising cortisol to do fat deposition. This leads to more weight gain, further accumulation of lipids, further in vessels and more. And again, the samprapti further continues. The further the samprapti may part away, for example, accumulation of medas in coronary arteries may lead to coronary artery disease, ischemic heart disease, hypertension. Accumulation of medas in udara can cause type 2 diabetes. Likewise, this is how the samprapti may deviate depending upon where exactly the medas has been accumulating or where exactly the medas takes its sthana samsraya because of impaired gut function. So this is the time for gut cleansing, removing the inflammatory debris that caused dysbiosis. You should level of firmicutes bacteria and normalize its ratio with bacteroidetes. The Lekhana, Anulomana, Shodhana are the one, and this will be explained in upcoming sessions by Dr. Niranjan Rao sir. And also reviving gut health by probiotics, prebiotics, and other plant derivatives that can restore normal metabolism and nutrition. This will be again explained by respected Dr. Rishikesh Damle sir in next session. Well, you can say by now that decreased fiber and increased sugar as well as saturated fat will raise unhealthy gut bacteria. On the contrary, increased fiber dense diet and minimally processed food like manda, peya, vilepi, shaktu will cause increased healthy bacteria. How the environmental factors influence the samprapti of Medoroga? Let us see. In Tasyashitiya Adhyaya, under Hemanta Rutucharya, influence of Agni, Vayu, Shita Rutu is told on causation of Medoroga. Atra vriddho Vayur Medasvino yatha Agni vriddhim karoti. Medasavrita Margatvad Vayuhu Koshtam Visheshataha. With this reference of Hemanta Rutu, Swabhava and Charya, we can explain Medoroga Samprapti as the one, there will be Agni Deepti, and because of Agni Deepti, the person will feel more hungry, there will be binge eating, because of eating more, and satiety center is also malfunctioning, the cortisol levels will raise and fat storage will be there. This will lead to Medovriddhi. This can again cause Avarana to Vata. Because of Avarana to Vata, there will be Vata Prakopa, and Vata Prakopa, because of this, Agni will again get appetite will increase, he will eat more eating causes more fat accumulation. Likewise, one thing you should note here is vriddhi of Agni happens only in relation to increased appetite, increased eating, increased digestion, and anabolism. I repeat, vriddhi of Agni happens only in relation to increased appetite, increased eating, increased digestion, and anabolism. So here there is anabolism. The catabolism is less. This Agni does not do catabolism by nature. Due to Shita Vayu, the Vata increases and in turn, Vata kindles Agni. Increased Agni causes increased appetite and increased digestive capacity. This is a vicious cycle in Medoroga. This is a fear that for Chikitsa of Stolya, there is Lekhana, Shodhana, Apatarpana is given, which can increase Vata. This vicious cycle cannot be stopped as long as Vata is in Prakopavastha. That is why answer is there in the same reference. It is available in same context. So the answer is you should increase kapha. The answer is available in such a way that you should do those kinds of regimes which should cause kapha vriddhi. Kapha vriddhi should be done to avoid vata prakopa as antidote. And that is why anupamamsa sevana is indicated. Because in the context of Hemanta, I'm telling all this in the context of Hemanta Rutu, I'm not generalizing it. Because in the context of Hemanta Rutu, vata prakopa is more dangerous than kapha vriddhi. So in the treatment of Medoroga also, there is a fear of Vata Prakopa, as Vata Prakopa due to Avarna is there in Samprapti also. Vata Prakopa may continue during Chikitsa also while applying Apatarpana Chikitsa, Langana, Lekana and Shodhana. Thus, to avoid Vata Prakopa, Kaphavardhana is told, and to avoid Kafadushti, Vyavaya and such other things like Vyayama are advised. So the description is given here. Maituna Sevopadeshaschehi Chiyamanam Kapha Viruddhatvena. So here, the Vyavaya will be the antidote for Kapha that has aggravated due to Mamsa Sevana. So the understanding is there will be Agni Dipti and Vata Prakopa. So to avoid Vata Prakopa, one has to enhance Kapha, and Vata Prakopa can be prevented by consumption of Anupamamsa Sevana and thereby causing Kapha Vriddhi. And if you want to avoid the pathology because of Kapha Vriddhi, one has to undergo these kind of regimes. It has been told in the reference. Along with this, we have one more information available there. That is, in case of Medo Roga, including Staulya as well as Prameha, there will be Krichra Vivaya, Shukra Dushti as well as Balahan. So Vyavaya will be the antidote for Kapha that has aggravated due to Mamsa Sevana. And according to Sushruta, the act of Maithuna is Balavardhaka. So Krichra Vivaya, Shukra Dushti, Balahani is there. And this is present in case of Staulya as well as Medoroga also. So after Shodhana, along with Rasayana, Vajikarna also should be given, or both Rasayana with Vajikarna is understood as taking together. Because Rasayana means enhancement of Dhatu from Rasa to Shukra to yield Bala, Urja and Ojas. This will be discussed in the upcoming sessions. So I would like to summarize my entire talk today as metabolism is a process of making energy, that is Urja, and cellular molecules, Oja, from breaking down the food that is made up of carbohydrates, rasa, proteins, vasa, fat, meda, etc. A metabolic disorder, which we call in the form of Agni-mandya, occurs when abnormal chemical reaction through ama disrupts this process. Medoroga can be resulted from abnormal carbohydrate metabolism, which can be in the form of prameha, abnormal lipid metabolism in the form of staulya as well as vriddhi, abnormal energy metabolism in the form of neoplasia or arbuda. All the above abnormal metabolism, especially lipid metabolism, leads to metabolic syndrome, which is atisantarpana vikara. Abnormality in cellular lipid metabolism leads to pathogenesis of cancer, that is Mamsa as well as Medodushti, and metabolic syndrome, including the Medoroga. Pathology in terms of vriddhi can be benign, and pathology in terms of prakopa can be malignant. So here, VLD, lipoproteins, chylomicrons, and all these are metabolites that increases energy sources. All these are acquired from the navosynthesis in liver along with dietary intake, which is endogenous synthesis of fat from carbohydrates and proteins in liver. The ectopic fat accumulation, that is what we call it as overaccumulation or atisanchaya due to atisantarpana, which leads to lipotoxicity. This lipotoxicity is medodushti. Lipotoxicity leads to insulin resistance and metabolic disease. The disrupted gut microbe with the lipid molecule triggers inflammation and hypersensitivity. I would like to elaborate this research work. There was a research work in an animal experiment. A group of mice were injected by cockroach extracts. After being injected by cockroach extract, the mice turned to be overweight or obese. From these obese mice, the gut microbes were extracted and inoculated inside another group of healthy mice. To these mice, which were inoculated by gut microbes from the obese mice, when interacted with lipid molecule, there was intense triggering of inflammatory response. Thus, the gut bacteria of these mice, when interacts with lipid molecules, there were triggering of series of unwanted inflammatory response, rising cytokines, histamines, prostaglandins, and so on. This experiment says unhealthy gut as well as their interaction with lipid molecules will give rise to inflammatory condition and also can stimulate malignancy. And that is why Medoroga has Pidaka, Galaganda, Vriddhi, and Arbuda. So Medoroga is not only Staulia and Prameha. The decreased glucose lowering effect and insulin resistance both will decrease the action of insulin in lipids. This will cause decreased uptake of circulatory lipids, increased hydrolysis of stored triglycerides, increased free fatty acids in blood plasma. All these will cause decreased transport of glucose to muscle and liver. Glucose are the one which gives energy to muscle and liver. So when there is decreased glucose supply, there will be decreased energy. And this leads to Javoparoda. So I would like to conclude by saying that if you have, this is the old line, obesity and diabetes is decided by how far your home is from bus station or how close is bakery to your home. If you have a bakery close by your home, you will be tempted to eat sugar, fat, and high calorie food. And if you have your bus stop far, you will have to walk or run after to catch your bus. And in the due course, your calories will be burned. But if you have bakery close by and bus stop also close by, then there will be an Atimatra Madhura Sevana and calories will not be burned as you won't walk or run far. So Ati Sevana of such kind of Ati Madhura Snigdha Ahara will be there, Pishtana Sevana will be there, along with Cheshta Dveshi, both will cause Medoroga. The best probability is if your bakery is far from the bus stop and from your home, if your bakery is far from your home and bus stop is also far from your home, then the chances of eating high calorie diet is also not there and you will not have Cheshta Dvesha also. So Medoroga chances are very less and even Medoroga also will be far from you. Unfortunately, we have Swiggy, Zomato and other home deliveries and also upon that work from home option. Hence, we are at high risk for Medoroga. Thank you very much for patient listening, stepping down and paving the platform for the next session. Over to the organizers. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It was really wonderful to listen to you again, ma'am. And now the session is open for discussion. I request the participants to post their question in the chat box.
I think we can finish the remaining two sessions and collectively we can take questions.
Okay, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for that wonderful session. And now moving on to the second session of day 5 of AyurCon 2020. We are very fortunate to have our next speaker, Dr. Rishikesh Damble sir, MD and CEO, Atrimed Pharmaceuticals, Bengaluru, Karnataka, who has joined here with us to discuss on the topic plant diet with an ancient superfood with special reference to lipid regulation. Now, I take immense pleasure of introducing sir to this platform. Dr. Rishikesh Damble is the founder, CEO, and managing director of AyurMed. He was a physician and trained in Ayurveda with post-graduation degrees in plant pharmacology and clinical pharmacology. Sir quit his job as a medical practitioner to pursue entrepreneurship in 2003. Sir has a passion with science for infection and infectious optimism. Uh, Assemble scientists of multiple disciplines under one umbrella to achieve a common objective, that is, new drug discovery from plant molecules. The scientific team under his leadership has integrated advanced computing with an embedded AI system to cull knowledge from the biology and centuries old cultural practices. This unique integration has led to a world class lab dedicated to drug development from phytomolecules. A spontaneous initiative leader who doesn't use a script on management practices, he has built an ethical organization with professionalism. Dr. Damle has established various departments of formulations, production, sales, and marketing of Arthromed Pharmaceuticals. With good interpersonal skills and obsession for quality control, he has taken Arthromed across the globe in over 40 countries. Dr. Damle is a self learner, organizer, thinker with a deep understanding of evolution, which he uses for ideation, excluding loads of positive energy. Dr. Damle believes in Arthrimed will transform the landscape of plant-based medicine. We're very fortunate to have you, sir, with us. Now, I would like to hand over the session to sir. Over to you, sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, you're audible now.
To be at the outset, I thank you all, organizers of Diksha, for giving me this opportunity. I should tell you that I'm in a remote village of Uttar Pradesh, and the network is a little poor, but still, I think we should be able to manage the session. So bear with me if there is any interruption. Meanwhile, can you let me share my screen?
Yes, sir, you can share now, sir.
No, it's not allowing me to share.
Okay, just a minute, sir.
Yeah, otherwise, you give me your number, I'll send you my PDF by WhatsApp.
Sir, can you retry sharing?
No, it's that button is not getting on.
I think first you open this PPT and keep it in your desktop, sir.
Yeah, it's already open.
Okay, that option is. So now the share
Now, when
screen.
I see the share screen button, I get a window where I get only cancel. I don't get share.
Okay, sir. So please, you can WhatsApp me to my number and I will share it on your behalf.
Dr. Nisha, I've sent it to you. Can you just share it with Diksha people?
Okay, sir.
Did you receive it?
Yes, sir. I received it. I'll open it.
Yeah. Okay. Just put it across. Anyway, let me start. Again, I would like to thank the organizers and hope I am audible to all of you. Even if I switch on my video, I don't think you will be able to see me because of the location, as I said, and I'm traveling. Uh, I'm I'm going to show you something new, which is about evolution, etc. When we talk about evolution and the past, a lot of it is guesswork, or a lot of it is assumed. And you ask me for a randomized control trial proof for that, I may not be able to give you, because that's how it works. So I'm going to talk to you about ancient diet and fat metabolism. Thank you. The slide is there. Can you can you share the first slide, please?
Can you see, sir?
Yeah, I can
I
see
have
the
this.
first slide. Can you
Okay.
show the next slide? Yeah.
Sure.
It's interesting. This slide is my favorite slide. I show to everybody. There are two things here. One is if at all, if at all there is somebody who is fat, he had a chance not to be fat. Of course, DNA plays a big role. Genes play a big role in metabolism and accumulation of fat. And genetically, some people are predisposed for becoming fat. But then, even then, it's possible for them to restrict it as much. Why does that happen? And what is the relevance of this gene? Is pretty interesting. Now, when we really look at evolution, we should understand that human being was a hunter-gatherer, eating everything around the world uh, till you heard about Ice Age. Ice Age started probably around 260,000 BC and ended at around 15,000 to 20,000 BC. When I say these numbers or this Ice Age ended at 25,000 BC, I tend to agree with people who say it is 25,000 BC or it is 10,000 BC. But as accepted today, it's around between 14 and 16,000 BC that there was no ice age. I mean, ice started melting and humans started inhabiting. Now, this is very significant for one reason. If there was ice age, there were no millets and there were no vegetables grown. If there was ice age, then even the availability of nutritious food was very scarce. That means even if you're getting fruits or vegetables or leaves, it wouldn't have been growing the way nutritiously it's growing now. So till for major part of our life, I'm talking about we are 300,000 years to 400,000 years old, 3 lakh to 4 lakh year old, a human as a Homo sapien, and for most part of our 98% of part of our life, we were hunter gatherers in Ice Age, and later we started inhabiting. So if you really look at the timing here, you'll be surprised to see that 2022 is right at the top and 1947 is just at the tip. And for us, pre-independence looks very, very old time, but it's actually nothing old if you really look at the beginning of inhabitation. I'm not talking about the Ice Age alone, just about 10,000 to 12,000 BC. So 4 5 things happened in 10,000 to 12,000 BC. Human beings started living together and they started initially sharing the food as a family. They started farming. They started, domesticating animals. The sheep was the first domesticated animal. Subsequently, they domesticated, camel, horse, then cow, then chicken, duck. So that started. This is very important. And having millets. Millets were not grown, could not be grown in the Ice Age. So millets started growing at the equator and slowly moved towards the north and south pole. And during this is just 10,000 BC or 15,000 BC around that time. And that's when we started consuming a lot of carbohydrates. What used to happen earlier is the food what we used to get was very low in nutrition, and hence we had to eat a lot. So we are inherited gene which makes us, as Dr. Nisha was telling earlier, our satiety is less because we have that inherited gene. During those days, when you don't get food for a longer period, then you will eat whatever is available and probably store it for next 3 to 4 days. Interestingly, from all the evidence what we have today, human beings started as a vegetarian, was a vegetarian for a very long time, but during Ice Age, due to lack of nutritious food, he probably turned into a non-vegetarian. And another interesting fact, what he did was cooking the meat. Once they started domesticating, they started cooking and adding masala, etc. All this is just about 10,000 BC, and hence we have inherited that gene, and that's why we eat more than what is required. And the food what we get today is very, very rich in nutrition, unlike those 99% of the days when we evolved, whether it is millets or even vegetables. Vegetables are of interest for me because 99% of the vegetables what you eat today do not belong to us. When I say do not belong to us, they do not belong to India. We never used to have them here. All of them have come either from South America or from Turkey or some of them from Europe. Carrot, beetroot, you name turnip, name any of these vegetables, none of them were present in India 350 to 400 years back. I would say when Portuguese came 500 years back, that's when we started even chilies. Before that, we didn't have even chilies. Why do I say this? Because if you look at the ancient Indian vegetables, they were rich in fiber, very low in glycemic index, and they were not very tasty, and they were not something which will absorb, oils. The current vegetables are very soft, like let's say carrot or potatoes. You know that glycemic index of potato is higher than sugar, and even the glycemic index of boiled carrot becomes pretty high, and they can absorb the sweet very well. They can absorb oil very well. So the new current vegetables, contemporary vegetables, have this disadvantage. And I don't say that you have to give them up. I only say that you have to eat a lot of ancient vegetables, like what you eat in Mangalore, yam, suvarnagade, or kesu. There are so many leaves which you used to eat during different seasons. These are rich in fiber and low in carbohydrate. Next slide, please. Why is it important? Because fat and carbohydrate should be thought as one, because carbohydrate gets converted into fat and gets stored, and carbohydrate gets converted. When I say carbohydrate, ultimately it is simple sugars get converted as fat and get stored, so that you have to consider them as one, whereas protein is something which is totally different. So this is the thali which we really talk high about. And unfortunately, most of the diet what we have, and I'm not offending anybody, I'm just telling that we have learned to eat so much that our thali looks like this, which is definitely not healthy. Our ancestral thali was definitely not like this. Just about why so far. If you really look at Ashtanga Sangraha, we have made a compilation of the Shaka Varga there. You have 147 shakas there, and which include Jivanti to Vidari to everything. Interestingly, Leptadenia is one of the variant for Jivanti, is one of the very rare plants which has got more than 5% protein in its leaves. And that's what is eaten by, it was eaten during those days. It is still eaten by some of the tribals in Attapadi, example in Kerala. So the diet has changed, and what we glorify as our real diet was not the real diet of Charaka Sushruta Vagbata during that time. And you don't see these vegetables in those textbooks. So once the nutrition became rich, we start accumulating more and more food, and we start becoming fat. So the fat metabolism has got direct effect on the change in the diet. Both, not just like we are already aware about millets. People have started taking ragi, then they were different types of millets, but people have not thought about changing the vegetables and getting them to old vegetables. Now there is something very interesting. Next slide, please. Actually, if you really look at medicine and vegetables, like this is the old Indian diet, what you could see, but these were the kind of vegetables which were eaten during that time. And if you really look at, there is the edible substances. India has got 45,000 species, of which around 23,000 are vascular plants. Vascular plants means you have enough material there to eat. Of that, if you look at Ayurvedic textbooks, identified and today definitely available are only under 650 plants. Why did they say only 650 plants? Was it because they did not know about the rest of the plants? Definitely not. It is not because the rest of the plants were not known. These 650 plants were having biological activity as well as nutritional activity. So food and nutrition at one time was same, and it was like a chance occurrence. I will tell you something very interesting study which we did in this, where I made me think that more and more this must be true. We have done a study on snake bite. Like when we talk about, there was a professor in NITA University, Meta Engineering College, HOD of Biotechnology, Dr. Vaman Rao. Once I used to be a faculty there. So when I went there, he said that his mom used to give some medicine for snake bite, and he wanted to do work on that. So at the outset, I was just thinking, are you joking? You're talking about snake poison, and snake poison, being neutralized. So anyway, we had a talk with the pharmacy college of again Nita University, just next to Yenagoya, and we created a kind of a study. We had around 10 rats which were controlled, given water after being injected by both viper and one group viper, another group cobra venom. We got it from Adyar Snake Park in Chennai. Then we had another group of 10 where we injected the snake venom and gave them this plant extract, and the third group had a kind of a chemical which is present in that plant, given as what do you say, as a single molecule. So there were usually 60 animals, and I will share the interesting fact about them. First, if you when we gave cobra venom, injected cobra venom, the rats which were given water died in a matter of around 30 minutes to 1 hour. When we injected viper venom, again within 3 to 4 hours, the rats which were given water died. Then the next, what we had, the name of the plant is Coix lacrima jovi. That's already published data now. The roots were ground and given to rats, and in cobra venom they lived for around 4 to 6 hours and died, and for viper venom they did not die. The next day we had to sacrifice them. So what is interesting about it, the single molecule which was present in the plant which we thought is effective, even those rats did not die in viper, and there was delayed death in cobra venom. Now later we went around and tried to search for this particular molecule in other plants, and we were surprised to see that more than 1,000 to 2,000 plants on earth had this molecule. Basically means, and most of them were eaten by our herbivorous plant animals. So does it mean I am making a hypothesis? I don't have proof about this, but then you can conclude it with reasonable accuracy that most of the herbivorous animals in the forest are getting immune to, or getting an antidote for at least viper venom when they eat one of these 1,000 plant leaves. So this is exactly what is, we call it as averaging out. If you really look at, can you show the next slide, please? If you really look at, we have done an enormous study on various, there are around 420,000 unique molecules in various plants, and we have all of them in our library, and ours is the largest library in the world. And we have tested them in virtual reality and many of them in reality against inflammatory markers, against immune cells, against viruses, wound healing, multiple places. And we have found that there are so many molecules there which can inhibit, and treat disease. Basically means if they were taken as a food during those days, we were naturally immune from many of these diseases. So next slide, please. So my hypothesis is earlier days, the vegetables what we used to take used to be the same vegetables. Other medicines which we use it as medicine now. This is an interesting slide. I usually show it in medical colleges and in a modern fraternity. Do you find a big difference between the molecule on the left and molecule on the right? And at the one outlook, you will not be able to realize. But then if you really look at, you can see that there is a double bond O ester in the first molecule, and there is a OH group, hydroxyl group on the second molecule. And chemically, they are so much different, unique. I mean, so much similar. Just a small change, but emotionally they are so much different. You know why? The first molecule is testosterone, and the second one is estrogen. If I say that testosterone and estrogen are 99% similar, it will be very difficult for us to emotionally accept it because we look at things emotionally. But we should not look at plants with emotions as well. We have to look at the plants, even next slide, please, even plants with their chemistry. Because at the end of the day, whatever you say, it is the chemical which is present in the plant which makes the difference. And we have categorized these vegetable plants, which was told in our ancient textbook according to this, look for their biological activity. And once you got the, understood what it could be the biological activity, we have classified them. So now the chemistry is not natural for human beings. Chemistry is like little difficult compared to, physics. So the easiest, I know that I just have another 5 minutes. The easiest way to remember them is nitrogenous compounds and non-nitrogenous compounds. Nitrogenous compounds are the third group, which are alkaloids. They have high biological activity and they can get into even the blood-brain barrier. The other ones, with OH, are phenolic groups. That is the second biggest group. And you have terpenes like camphor, gugulu, etc. They shallaki. They all have terpenes, which are stick-like structures, and you have sulfur-containing substances. So these are the kind of chemicals which are present in our ancient Indian vegetables. Next slide, please. Why are they important? Why are ancient Indian? Next slide. Next slide. Why are ancient Indian vegetables are important? It's very interesting. When the food what you eat has got very low in nutrition, our body is as good as starving. You heard about intermittent fasting now. What happens in intermittent fasting? I think Nisha already talked about this sensitivity of insulin and sugar metabolism. And there's no difference between, big difference between sugar metabolism and fat metabolism. They are interrelated, though they are not the same. So there is one, SGLT1 and SGLT2 glucose transporters. When you fast, what happens is there is a molecule called GLUT4, which goes upregulated. When that molecule gets upregulated, insulin sensitivity goes up, and the sugar from the blood gets into the system and gets utilized. It's the same thing what happens with most of the phytomolecules which are present in these ancient vegetables. They upregulate the GLUT4 and improve the insulin sensitivity, and on the long run, they reduce the fat deposit in our body. So that's how they work, and that's the reason probably most of the pictures what we see of our ancient sadhus, etc., have a tummy which is enviable, and they are they look fit, but then they are lean. So it is important for us. Next slide. You can go to the last slide. I'll conclude. You can go to the next slide because I don't have time. Yeah. Another important factor, PPAR gamma. PPAR gamma is one of the enzyme which is present, and many of drugs are agonist of PPAR gamma. Most of the plants have got some molecules which actually are agonist of PPAR gamma, which increase insulin sensitivity and reduce sugar in our body. And reducing sugar is as good as reducing fat. Next slide, please. With all this, we thought that we have to classify them, and we create next. This is a GLUT pathway I already talked about. The last slide. You can go to the last slide. There are many phytochemicals which actually have effect on beta cells. There are phytochemicals which have effect on, reduction of cancer. Next slide. You go to the last slide. Okay. So with considering all this, we have formulated something called plant science plant diet, where the molecules which are present in these ancient diets exclusively for different diseases like liver disorder or diabetes or respiratory disorder, all of them have been classified and they have separated, and these products are available for you as nutritional supplements in the market. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I am willing to take the questions. I think that will be after Dr. Niranjan's amazing lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for that wonderful session. Though you have a very busy schedule and you've been traveling, the class was really amazing. And so, as sir said, we can move on to the next session for the day. Just like icing on a cake, we have our last speaker for today. We have Dr. Niranjan Rao, sir, Professor and Head of Department of Panchakarma, Dean of PG Studies, SDM College of Ayurveda, Udupi, Karnataka, to here with us to discuss on the topic Chikitsa Sutra and Rasayana for Medo Rogas. Now, I would be falling short on my duties if I don't properly introduce Sir to this platform. Dr. Niranjan Rao, born and brought up in a historical place called as Barkur in Kundapura, through his curricular life, he has studied studious and always topped his exam. Influenced and inspired by Ayurveda and its science, Dr. Niranjan Rao opted to have Ayurveda in his life. He did his undergraduation in SDM Ayurveda Medical College, Udupi, and completed his post graduation at JAU Jamnagar at Kaya Chikitsa, holding the gold medal throughout UG and PG. He did his PhD in GAU Jamnagar in itself on the subject Vajikarna. He has returned to his mother institution, SDM Ayurveda Medical College, Udupi, and joined as an assistant professor as well as a consultant in Panchakarma. We all love our institution, but in his case, the institution loved him more. It has been more than 25 years Dr. Niranjan Rao sir is rendering his sincere service with all dedication and passion for his mother institution. He is a very popular among his patients as clients as successful doctor treating rare and challenging cases. Sir is favorite among his students as a great teacher. He is most liked by his co-employees as best administrator. With honesty and integrity, Dr. Niranjan Rao sir is currently working as a professor and a head dean of PG studies in SDM Ayurveda Medical College and Hospital, Udupi. He has presented impressive and brainstorming talks sessions on Vata Vyadhi, Arbuda, Shwasa, Manoroga with his countless clinical experience adopting Ayurveda and uh, published many articles in indexed popular journals. With Dr. Niranjan Rao, sir is always surrounded with his students who are hungry to take knowledge and skill from him. Now, with great pleasure and honor, I would like to invite sir to this platform. Over to you, sir.
वागर्थावेव संपृक्तो वागर्थकृतिकृते तथा पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ भासाकुण्डं शङ्करस्फटिकमणिर्वा भासमाना समाना सा मे वाग्देवतेय पुनस्तुमेव दिने सर्वदा प्रसन्न. Very good evening to one and all. The talk is about treatment part of Medo Roga. When we talked about Medo Roga, slide. Share slides. Share slides. Smart. Am I audible right now?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Yes. The novel concept quoted by Sushruta is Rogamatu Parikshita Tato Anantaram Moksha. What are the things to be identified under the heading of Medo Roga? This is the thing we have to clarify first. There are certain things related with Medo Roga, the misconceptions and myths. Medo Roga is related with something like the level of dyslipidemia. No, it is beyond the dyslipidemia. There are metabolic disorders, which is coming under the category of the Medo Roga. There are certain neurological deficits which may come under the category of Medo Roga. There are certain rheumatological incidences which may come under the category of Medo Roga Chikitsa. There are certain things related with neuromuscular diseases which are coming under the umbrella of Medo. Nutshell, we may think of metabolic disorders, neuromuscular disorders, certain neurological deficits, rheumatological or immunological disorders, which may fall under the umbrella of Medo. Treatment is also on the same level. That's why Rogamado Puriksheta Tato Nandara. First of all, according to Ayurveda, what is that one? That's important. Which may fall under different categories according to the current practice of neurological deficits or neuromuscular deficits, etc. Our discussion is related with something like that of treatment protocol. When we are talking about the treatment protocol, different some practices are coming to the picture under the Medo. What are those different practices we have to keep in our mind? Hence, we have to read Vatakala Kaliya Adhyaya. We have to consider Ashiti, Vatavikara, Pitta Vikara, and Shleshmaja Nanatmaja Vikara. Meanwhile, we are also required to think about the Urusthamba. We are required to think about the Vata Vyadi and Vata Shunita. Meanwhile, Prameha Chikitsa and Shonita Dushti must also be incorporated while treating the patient. If we are able to encompass all these in the respective pathologies of neurological, neuromuscular, metabolic disorders or lifestyle disorders or immunological, hematological disorders, then it will be much easier. That's what we have to discuss today. So, I want to draw your attention related with Pitta Jananatmaja Vyadhis. Atisveda, Angaganta, Puti Mukata Vikara, Trashnadikyam, Netrapakascha, Tama Pravesha. These are the different things which we are required to think on the lines of present day problems. These are all enlisted in the Nanatmaja Vikara. Here, why these are identified? Just for the sake of treatment. For example, when he talked about the Netrapaka, the person who is having the Prameha, we have to concise it to just something like the diabetes mellitus. Then the person who is having the undiagnosed diabetes mellitus, having the linear fissures on penis, when he is coming for the treatment, then at that juncture it should be considered initially as Netrapaka related with the Prameha, and we have to treat. Patient may also complain of Puti Mukata. Puti Mukata is a vikara which may be seen in Grani dosha, which may be seen in oral hygiene, which may also be seen in case of diabetes mellitus. Then treatment pertaining to Puti Mukata should be on the lines of Prameha or the Medo Vikara. Atisveda, Angaganda, these are considered as one of the Pitta Janana Vyadhis there. Involvement of the Medas, Dushta Medas is important. Accordingly, we may track that Dushta Medas with the help of Ushira or the Chandana or the Rakta Chandana or the Arovalitra, and we may treat the patient. Syncope is also considered as Pitta Janana Vikara, which may be one of the phenomena in case of the Prameha. Then treatment pertaining to the Prameha must also be seen, and initially it is Pitta Janana Vyadhi, later on we have to go for Samprapti. A patient with something like that of the atheromatous changes in the carotid arteries or vertebral arteries may also present with syncope, and that is Tamapravesha, and initially we have to consider Tamapravesha with special reference to Pitta Janana Vyadhi, and finally we have to land into original diagnosis pertaining to the pathology of Medo Roga. Hence, Medo Roga may be a phenomenon, a wide umbrella, which should be having certain other features also. Those are enlisted in the 17th chapter, where in the name of Trapti, Tandra, Nidradikya, Stainitya, Burgatrata, Alasya, Namani Pratijaya, Galaganda, Atistaulya. Treatment pertaining to each thing is different. For example, the person who is having the Prameha, or the Medoroga Samprapti is present in that patient with the dyslipidemia or hyperlipidemia, hypertriglyceridemia. Patient may present with the hyper phenomena pertaining to Nidra, Chandra. Patient may be having digestive disturbances, which is nothing but related with the Trapti, and it should be treated with the Traptigna Dashaimadi, particularly with the Shunti and Panchakola. Or a patient who is having the Staimithya and Gurugatrata and Alasya may be seen in patients with the rheumatological disorders. Early morning stiffness, etc., may be seen in the patients of rheumatological disorders, maybe rheumatoid arthritis, or even in case of patients of systemic lupus erythematosus, then Medoroga Samprapti with special reference to Vata Shonita should be considered, and that treatment is somewhat different. A patient with something like that of the Galaganda, here Galaganda is not related to some other aspect. Patient may be having the undiagnosed hypothyroidism, and I am restricting to only hypothyroidism, undiagnosed. That at that juncture, Tandra, Nidra, Trapti, etc. may be present, and that should be treated accordingly. And here also, Veda's concept is important. A patient may be having plain Atistolya or the Atistolya, wherein corpulence is the only one thing Medoroga may be considered, and the line of management is different than that of the previous. Or the patient who is having something like that of the Dhamani Pratichaya, we may consider hypertriglyceridemia or dyslipidemia, or even we may consider the metabolic disorder pertaining to bad metabolism. At that juncture also, we have to consider all such phenomena, and treatment protocol is different. Why I am saying this one is treatment protocol varies, but the basic thing is related to Medoroga, and we have to treat the Medoroga also. Now I want to draw your attention towards one concept, that is Ashtanindita Purusha quoted in the 21st chapter, where he identified Atistula Purusha as one of the Ashtanindita Purusha. There we are able to identify many things. For example, Aishu Rasa Javopuroda, Krichra Vivayata, Dorpalyam, Dorkanyam, Svedabada, Kshut Adimatram, and Vipasa. Here the application of treatment protocol is related with the Ashtadosha Bhava of Stholya. What it indicates, it is not merely indicating the dosha which is present in the patient. It is actually indicating something like the treatment. For example, Aisho Rasa is one of the phenomena identified in the Sthula. A patient who is having the Stholya must be treated with the Triphala or Triphala X plus. A patient who is also possessed with something like the obesity must be treated with the Amalaki. A patient having the obesity corpulence may be treated with Ullekana Chikitsa, that is Vamana Chikitsa. Patient may be subjected for the Busti Chikitsa, patient may be subjected for the Udvartana. All such things are directly indicative of Ayusho Rasa is one of the phenomena, and actually speaking, Ayusho Rasa must be treated with the Trifala. Javoparoda or the Utsahani is one of the things which may be seen in case of the Stholya. And here, not only the corpulence, here, one more aspect pertaining to the ojas is also depleted. That's what it is indicated in Krachara Vivayata and Dorpalya. So, three symptomatologies like the Javoparoda, Krachara Vivaya, Dorpalya are suggestive of an important thing, that is nothing but ojas should be treated. Hence, Ojaskara Chikitsa, once the Shodhana is completed, Ojaskara Chikitsa must be employed. What is that Ojaskara Chikitsa? The medicines like the Swarana Makshika or the Swarana, or the medicines like the Jivanti must be kept in the mind. Meanwhile, the administration of the Yava is one of the things, as a matter of diet, must also be incorporated, because Yava is the Vadahara. Yava is also phenomena related with the Rasayan. Hence, such things should be incorporated in the patient. Daurgandhya, Svedabada, Atikshuddha, and Pipasa, these are related to the involvement of the Pitta dosha and the involvement of the Vata dosha. So, involvement of Pitta and Vata must be incorporated for the purpose of treatment. That's why the treatment is having the protocol of the Bhasti. Bhasti Chikitsa, Bhasti, Vata Haranam, and he said that's one of the important things. So, Bhasti One aspect. Second aspect, basti with the specific dravya according to the situation must be involved in the protocol of the treatment. Then consider the remaining aspect pertaining to the medasvino medeva upachiyate na thata itara datapha. Here, there is something like that of the avarana samprapti, there is something like that of the phenomena pertaining to the sangha. So, our treatment should be Ushna, Tishna, as well as it should be Rasayana. But here, the treatment protocol is revolving around one aspect, that is nothing but Shilajatu. When the patient is having such a type of phenomena, Shilajatu may be incorporated in the treatment. Administration of the Shilajatu or Shilajatu predominant medicines like the Shiva Gulika ultimately achieve the purpose. One more aspect is related with the dosha, that is mamsa, involvement of the mamsa. When we talked about the mamsa, Meda mamsa ativruddhatva, one more reference is there. When he talked about the Meda, when he talked about mamsa, the correction, shitilata of the mamsa must also be incorporated. So the patient should be associated with the Rasayana Chikitsa. Meanwhile, we are also required to think on the mamsa. Such a type of treatment like the Udvartana will suffice the purpose. Medasavarta Margatvat, one more concept identified by him in the same chapter related with the Samprapti. That is nothing but the indication of the Avarana Samprapti, and Avarana must also be thought of related with the prescription. So what should be the thing? Avarana, when there is present, we have to incorporate the treatment of the Agni, we have to incorporate the treatment of the Vata dosha, and we have to incorporate the treatment related to Medodata. In certain conditions related with the Medasavrata Vata, for example, a patient who may be possessed with the Guillain-Barré syndrome, and he is fitting into the Samprapti of the Urustamba, then at that juncture, we may think about the administration of the Vidanga, administration of the Chitraka. Both are Rasayana. Chitraka is also Rasayana as well as the Vidanga is also Rasayana. The prescription of the Vidanga, it is nothing but the Vatahara, it is nothing but the Rasayana. Such a type of Ushna, Tikshna, Dravya must be incorporated. It is one of the medicine which is restricted for the treatment of Krimi only. When we are carefully observing the Susita Samhita, even in Charaka Samhita, it is highlighted in the concept of the Rasayana. Vedanta is such a type of Tikshna Rasayana. We have mentioned in the context related with the Rasayana chapter, which is able to subjugate the Vata dosha, meanwhile it is also able to subjugate something like that of the Avarna. So, concept is clear here now. Administration of the medicines which are able to hit Medasavarta, Medo Dhatu, Mamsa Dhatu, Avarna condition, and Gatatva. So that's when Chakrapani identifying these things in a different way. Sadharana tapi aharam Gurimedo Janyamaha. This is one of the important things to be considered. Many patients who are coming to we people are always complaining, I am not taking specific diet which may increase the corpulence, but still I am gaining weight. The Chakrapani identified this basic cause. Sadharana tapi ahara Gurimedo Janyam. Even if he is taking minimum or simple diet also, because of the dosha in the Medodhatu and Avarana Samprapti, Bhuri Medojani, further corpulence or further development of the Medodhatu is the possibility. That's why he identified one more word, Medo Eva Vapakatvena. It is something like that the whole body is involved with the Medodhatu. Hence, Na Anne Vardate Rasadaya. Hence, the other rasadi dhatus are not going to be increased or having the proper development. Hence, only he talked about Dushama Dhatutva, Dushtam Medo. The Medo Dhatu is going to be having the Dushti. The word Dushta, which is repeatedly mentioned in different parts of Charaka Samhita, is directly related with the involvement of the Dushana of the Agni. Hence, in all such conditions, involvement of the Agni in correction of the Agni is to be identified. As the treatment related, as I told previously, Chitraka is so important, it can correct the Agni Meanwhile, it is also able to correct something like that of the Vata dosha. These are all identified in the context related to the Prashasta Purusha in the 20th chapter. He talked about Samamamsa Pramanastu Samasamannanam Dridendriyo Vikaranam Na Balena Abhipuyate Chut Pipasa Atapasa Shita Vyayama Sausaha Samabhakta Samajara Samamamsa Chayivamata. This is the goal of the treatment in case of the Medoroga. Patient may be having something like that neuromuscular deficit. Patient may be having something like neurological, immunological disorders. Patient may be possessed with something like that of the corpulence. In all such situations, the title, that's goal of treatment, is Prashasta Purusha mentioned in the Charaka. Next, importance of Rakta. Many times we people are conveniently forgetting something like that of the involvement of the Rakta. Why Rakta is important? Because the media is Rakta. Hence, Rakta Prasadaka Chikitsa is important. In case of Charaka Samhita, Vidishoniti Adhyaya Sutrasthana, Tata Shonitaja Roga, he identified. One of the condition is Pramilaka. That Pramilaka is one of the eye opener for we people. We should think about something like that of the treatment for Rakta Prasadaka Chikitsa, Rakta Shodhana Chikitsa is a must in all such situations. Next, as I told previously, importance of Vata. In case of the Medo Roga, we are conveniently again forgetting the Vata. With the normal functioning of the Vata, he specified Sarva Sharira Dhatu Vyuhakara. Chakrapani commenting on this one, Vyuhakara means Sanghatakara and Rachanakara. That Sanghatakara Rachanakara is related with the solid dhatus, particularly about the Mamsa and to some extent about Meda. If the Vata is functioning normally, then the conditions related with the Mamsa as well as Meda is going to be normalized, hence the Mamsa Sanghata, there is some Prashasta Purusha Lakshana may be identified. Meanwhile, Vata is also having some importance about the metabolism. Hence, he talked about Samirano Agnehe, Shepta Bahi Maranam. Unnecessary metabolic byproducts should be thrown out of the body. It's because of Vata dosha. Stulana Srotasam Beta, it is the specific condition pertaining to one thing, that is metabolism. Harsha Utsahayo Yonihi. That's actually the capability, functional capability of each dhatu, which is actually a deranged mentioned in the Samhita as Javaparoda in case of the Staulya. When there is Javaparoda, when there is Staulya, Harsha Utsaha is not going to be there, and it is the basic responsibility of the Vata dosha. Hence, the physician should think about the correction of the Vata dosha also, not only concentrating upon something like that of the Pitta and the Kapha. Then Medora with reference to neurological and neuromuscular conditions, which is evident in case of the Urustamba. Hence, he is specified in that chapter, Amam Chitam Korte Vatadi Medasasa or Dosha Bedo Golotkataha. These two sloka parts are actually reminding the people that is, involvement of the Vedas should be considered in case of neurological or neuromuscular disorders. As I said, particularly in case of certain neurological deficits with immunological changes like GB syndrome, we are many a times able to identify Samprapti with the Avarana, Samprapti with Medodhatu, Mensavratavata, and condition may be improved with the help of Utsadhana or Udgarsha. Utsadhana or Udgarshana is a treatment for Vata dosha. Utsadhana or Udgarshana is something treatment related to Medo Dhatu. Udvartanam, Kaparam, Medasa Pravilayam. Sushruta here identified Udvartana is also having the capacity to correct the Vata dosha. Even in Charaka Chikitsa 28th chapter, Medasavratavata, Adhyavata is identified. Adhyavata, more term Patantra, Amavata is also present. Many times we are able to identify prescriptions related with Adhyavata or the Amavata for these conditions. For example, a patient with rheumatoid arthritis may be prescribed very well with the Chitrakasa or Gomutra Arishta. Patient may be prescribed very well with the Shodharana Yoga, which are indicative of Medasavrata Vata correction or the treatment. When we are treating the patients related with rheumatological or any other immunological conditions with the special reference to joint, the Ksharabastis or Vaitarana Bastis are going to be having maximum relief. This is also to be taught in the mind. Medogata Anila is one of the concepts quoted in the same chapter, where he identified one more treatment aspect that is in the next 195th shloka. Prameha Vata Medogni Mahamavate Prayoje. Prameha Vata Medogni. Prameha line of treatment, Vata Roga line of treatment, Medohara line of treatment is to be considered. Three things are identified. Prameha, because it's related with something like that of Tridosha and Saptako Dosha Sangraha. And Pramehagni and Medogni is specified. Chakrapani also highlighted. And Vataro. Vata. Vata, Meda, Prameha. Three things to be considered for the purpose of treatment, and it is identified in different forms of Charavastis, Vaitanavastis, Udvartana, Udgarshana, as well as the some point of Purisheka. These are to be identified in case of such three conditions. Or Medo with Prameha, that is also to be considered. He specified in Nidanasthana, Yashcha Kashit Vidhi Shleshva Medo Moolam, or Bahu Abadda Medo Dushya Vishesha, the same chapter of the fourth Nidana. Charaka identified about treatment as well as things related with the Abadda Meda. Abadda Medas is one of the important concepts while treating the Prameha Roga, and here Vedas is important. Vedas is important. Why I am drawing these things is Meda Roga is not merely something like the metabolism or metabolic disorders. It should also encompass something like that of the lifestyle disorder like the Prameha. Shleshma Medo Mula or the Dushi Vishesha Abadda Meda, where in line of treatment in Udvartana or the Utsadana, some kind of lepas, Varisheka Chikisa, Tikshna Bastis, Kshara Bastis must be incorporated while in the treatment. And this is just to highlight different aspects pertaining to Medas identified in the Samhita. The highlighted things are related with the Medo Dhatu. Then, Medascha Mamsamcha Sharirajam Chedam Kapo Pastigatam Pradishya is specified. The treatment protocol in case of the Prameha is Meda, Mamsa, Shariraja Kleda, Kapha, these are to be identified and that should be treated. So, line of management of Medo Roga in case of the Prameha is related with again Tikshna Bastis and other Tikshna measures which are related with the external aspect, Viparimarjana and Antaparimarjana Chikitsa. In a nutshell, we may consider treatment pertaining to different types of Ksharavastis, different types of the external measures like that of the Udvartana, when there is need something like that of Ullekana or something like that of the Vamana Karma proper, and Virechana or the Anulomana Chikisa must be thought. We have to take the help of the Samprapti with the reference to Vata Kalakaliya, Dhyaya, Vata Janana, Vikara, Vata Vyadi Chikisa, Urustamba Chikisa, when there is requirement with the Vata Rakta Chikisa, Shonita Dushti, etc. The medicines like that of the Ayaskriti, Swarna Makshika Basma, Varna Basma, Loha Rasayana, Loha Basma, Trifala, Vidanga, Bhallataka, Shilajitu may also be incorporated. Whatever the mentioned things are there, those are all actually Ushna, Ishna, but they are all Rasayana. Example is Bhallataka. It is Ushna, Ishna, but it is Rasayana. Shilajatu is Ushna, Ishna, but it is Rasayana. So such a type of Naimittik Rasayanas having such qualities like that of the Ushna and Dishna nature must be incorporated and it should be treated. So the things are related with the treatment pertaining to Bahiparimarjana as well as Antaparimarjana Chikitsa, and we are going to prescribe according to Samprapti. In a nutshell, in the given 30 minutes, I have touched different points pertaining to Samprapti. What are all the things to be noted? Vata, Kapha, Pitta, Medas, Mamsa, not only Rasada, Medoro. We have considered something like that of different Sampraptis pertaining to neurological, neuromuscular, metabolic, immunological, rheumatological conditions. We have considered the different lines of treatment right from the restricted use of Gamana Karma, Anulomana Chikitsa, Virechana Karma, different kinds of the bastis. Rasayana, Shamana Chikitsa, Rasayana particularly, Ushna, Tishna, Draviyas having the Rasayana qualities. By this, we are actually having touched all parts given to me. Thank you, Ananda.
Thank you, sir. It was indeed a great pleasure listening to you, sir. So, with that, we come to the end of 3 sessions for day 5 of AyurCon 2022. Now, the session is open for discussion. I request the participants to post their question in the chat box. We have excellent scholars and physicians here with us, so please make use of this time and fire away all your doubts. So there is a question by Dr. Sangamesh. Namaste, sir. In case of cholelithiasis, what should we consider? Hello, sir.
Kindly unmute, sir.
So can you hear me? Hello, sir.
Sir, you have not unmuted yourself.
Hello, sir. Sir, you're muted, sir. Can you please unmute yourself?
Cholelithiasis, it's a phenomenon related with gulma. It's a phenomenon related with gulma, not related with the Medoro. Huh? Next.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Any more questions from participants? We request the participants to make use of this time and ask all their doubts. So we have another question by Dr. Saumya. So my question is for Dr. Dhamle, sir. Which is the best plant or drug helpful for improving gut microbiota or gut health? Uh, Unfortunately, Dr. Soumya ma'am, sir is traveling and we are not able to connect him at the moment. Meanwhile, there is another question. Namaste, sir. How to assess Medo Tushti in multiple sclerosis?
What is the question?
Uh, Sir, how to assess medodushti in multiple sclerosis?
See, multiple sclerosis, you should not mix multiple sclerosis as well as the medodushti. If the patient is having urustamba samprapti, if the patient is having medasavrata vata condition, that history should be separately collected. Patient may be having a multiple sclerosis diagnosis, but he should fit into the history of urustamba. For example, our students are well aware. One patient who is having motor neuron disease, and his condition is related with the all sensory and motor aspect, and patient was treated on the lines of grahani roga, vata jagrani, vata kulmarad roga, priya shankicha manava, and patient recovered very well, and his dysphasia is treated on the lens of the grahani, and he could recite the Bhagavad Gita very clearly. So there is no such link we have to establish. We have to think Ayurveda as Ayurveda. We have to think multiple sclerosis as multiple sclerosis. Don't mix up and having the puzzle. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hmm.
Any more questions from participants? Sir, can dyslipidemia corrected with medodushti? Correlated with medodushti?
Medodushti Lakshana should be there. Patient may be having dyslipidemia. For example, a patient who is having something like that of triglyceride, some 400, 500 and so, but still Medodushti may not, Lakshana may not be there. We have to think about the normal functions of the Medo Dhatu. We have to think about the Vradhi Lakshana. We have to think about the Kshaya Lakshana. We have to think about the Prokopa. Everything should be incorporated, and then only we have to consider medodushti is present or not. Simply, the patient is having hypertriglyceridemia or hyperlipidemia, and we have to equate with medodushti. No, the lakshana should be there. For example, a patient who is having medodushti must be having the daurgandhya. If the daurgandhya is not at all present, how can we consider only on one basis? No. Hence, all the features must be present related with the medodushti, and then we have to consider medodushti.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, as we know that we have live streaming in our YouTube channel as well, and there are a few questions from there. So shall I read it out, sir?
You read it.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, how can we prevent this Medo Roga with help of diet with reference to Shadrasas?
See, we are not, see, one concept we have to keep in our mind. Ayurveda not treats the patient only on the basis of rasa. All the Siddhanta of Ayurveda believed on the lines of the Karma Siddhanta. What this particular rasa is doing, that karma is going to be considered. Not only giving something like that of the Kotu rasa, not only giving Kashaya rasa is going to yield. Rasa, of course, rasa predominance must be thought, but we are always required to think about the karma. What that particular dravya is going to do, that is most important. If the dravya, for example, we are talking about the Shilajatu. Shilajatu is having Madhura Vipaka. When the Madhura Vipaka is present, it should increase the corpulence. No, it is not doing. Instead, it is actually able to curtail the dyslipidemia. So not on the basis of rasa. Rasa, we just see the patient kashaya rasa or the kotor rasa given, tikta rasa is given, is going to do these works. But it is all related with the karma. Karma siddhanta according to Ayurveda is important, not the rasa. Rasa, guna, virya, vipaka are having restricted sense. But what the karma the particular drug is doing, that is most important, and karma we have to consider karma of that particular drug, not based on the rasa.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And we have a reply from Dr. Rishikesh Damli sir as well. We are testing on multiple plants against gut dysbiosis. So far, we don't have any good results. However, herbs with high fiber are said to be good by other studies. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable comment. And any more questions from participants? Thank you, sir. So with that, I think we have come to the end of discussion session as well. Shall I conclude, sir? Ma'am, shall I conclude, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. And as we all know, we are live streaming on our YouTube channel as well. We would really appreciate your love in form of a subscription, like, and sharing of our channel. We know you have showed us a lot of love in the past years, and the real success of Diksha is the love that you show us. Thank you all for joining us today on day 5 of AyurCon 2022. And thank you, sir, and thank you all the speakers who have come here today, Dr. Dhamle sir, Dr. Niranjan sir, and Dr. Nisha Kumari ma'am, all of you. Thank you so much, ma'am. We really appreciate your effort and sharing your valuable time with us. Thank you all once again. And thank you, participants, for joining us today and looking forward to seeing you on the upcoming sessions of AyurCon 2022. Thank you all and have a nice evening ahead.
Thank you.